Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with a new season of Stoppage Time. EPL kicks off this weekend, Bundesliga kicks off this weekend, League One in France kicks off, and then next week it's Serie A in Italy and La Liga in Spain. We're looking forward to it. It was such a great year last year on Stoppage Time with my co-hosts, and let's bring these guys in. We're going to discuss 3 games on the EPL card this weekend. From WagerTalk, it's Nick Borrman and Kevin Dolan, and from Sports Memos, Pavlos Laguretos. Kev, I'm going to go to you first, man. I'm super excited. It's I can't overstate it. It is almost like Christmas is here. It has been a long summer, it feels like, with no World Cup. The World Cup is obviously in November and December in Qatar this year for the first time because of the heat, of course. We don't want players dropping. So it's been a quiet summer, but EPL is here, my man. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, Sligo Rovers have been keeping me going over the last few weeks, obviously. But, really happy EPL is back, as all you guys are. Along with French League 1 and Bundesliga, obviously, too. Because, we've been doing pretty well in MLS, 23 and 12 run rate now over the last 35. It's nice to have some variety back, especially with all 5 leagues about to kick off with La Liga and Serie A next week as well. So I'm already fully loaded. 5% EPL Colossus Game of the Week is up right now. French League 1 top play, Bundesliga best bet as well. So I'm absolutely excited for the new seasons. And, we've rolled all of those up in the European Game of the Week triple pack as well. So you can get every best bet that I have for this weekend in one package. So, yeah, I'm excited about the new season and, excited to talk about a few of these games on today's show as well.
Awesome. Nick Borrman, speaking of MLS, you've been killing it in MLS this summer and this season. In general, you are going to take a couple of weeks off after today's show. We will see you in, 4 weeks' time. You are heading off to Dublin, I believe. Maybe Kev will pick you up at the airport. And then you're catching a Man City game at home. Hopefully you'll be sporting the Erling Haaland jersey, the new super signing for a already strong City team.
I absolutely. Well, I cannot wait. This will be my first Premier League game in attendance, and it's the Man City home opener with Haaland. I mean, it's going to be just electric atmosphere, I'm sure, so I cannot wait for that. So it'll be a nice little trip. Going to Ireland as well. I'll make sure to check out a Cork game. Probably a little different environment, Kev, than the Man City game. But you gotta experience all the different leagues in Europe while I'm there. So yeah, but MLS has been awesome. I mean, over 100% profit bankroll so far this year. I'll continue to focus on that as it goes through the rest of the season into the playoffs. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, listen. The Big 5 leagues are the best leagues in the world, and this is where the best soccer is played, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of great thing to watch. And the coolest part I always tell people about being in the States and watching these soccer games is you wake up and they're on. It's 7 a.m., it's 9 a.m., it's 10 a.m. On the East Coast, and it's action right as you get out of bed. So it really is a great way to start the day. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait to get into these to the shows with you fellas.
Yeah, I was on WagerTalk yesterday, and I talked about the fact that the World Cup is in November and December this year, and what a crazy 2 months for not only clients but sports fans in the U.S. and Canada. It will be when November rolls around for the World Cup, especially on the East Coast. Games will be at 5 a.m., 8 a.m., 11 a.m. as far as soccer goes, and then you factor in what goes on with regards to the mainstream sports in the U.S. And then you've got NFL football, college football. You've got NHL hockey, NBA. There is just so much sports. I literally said on yesterday's show that I'm going to kiss my wife goodbye at some point in the middle of November and tell her I'll see her for New Year's, because it is going to be 24 hours of sports. Try and get some sleep. But I'm looking forward to it. Nick, I'm looking forward to seeing your report on that road trip that you take to Europe. But the rain in the UK doesn't interest me. This man takes a week off and gets on a yacht. Pavlos Laguretos, how you doing?
Doing great. Probably no yacht trip this season, but I'm focusing on sports. I'm now plus 57% up in the last 3 weeks alone. I've been having a blast with Argentina, Brazil, Norway, Copa Libertadores, and all that stuff that keep us busy, in the off season of soccer. But now super excited that the EPL is starting, Bundesliga and League One are also starting. I got a lot of plays loaded on my page, so you can go and check those out. Also a 5% MLS max bet for tonight, and super excited to talk some EPL with you guys because it's starting. It's on.
It is on. And so here's what we're going to do today, guys. For those of you tuning in live or later on, picking this up on the Wager Talk channel, we're going to discuss 3 games on today's show. Everyone will have an opinion on it. We're going to do Crystal Palace and Arsenal. That goes on Friday and is the kickoff game. Then we're going to look at a Saturday game, Everton hosting Chelsea. And then we'll go to Sunday with West Ham hosting the last year's title holders and 2-time title holders, consecutive title holders, Man City. Before we get into it, guys, I want to mention a promo that we have and is still available. You can get this. A couple things. EPL 75. If you head to your favorite cappers page and you click on the soccer drop-down menu, there is the full season of EPL. This is future bets, prop bets throughout the season, gameplays, whether it's plays, sides, totals. Regularly, that's $2.99. You get $75 off that by using code EPL75. And then one quick mention, if you head over to my page, you can download for free my EPL guide. I did a preview of the this year's EPL season. Included there are the teams I figure will finish within the top 9, the best 9 teams. Some futures related to those teams. And then there's 23 total future bets that are summarized in that EPL download. You can get that free on my page at WagerTalk.com. But without further ado, let's get right to it, guys. Crystal Palace and Arsenal on Friday. Kick it off. Let's look at the numbers on this one. Crystal Palace at home, plus 280. The draw is plus 260. Arsenal, minus 110. These are the opening numbers. They have changed a bit as the markets have moved a bit on Arsenal with their great start during at least their preseason start with the additions of Gabriel Jesus to the squad. They're looking pretty good. Guys, before I throw it to Kevin first, I'm going to look at this, and it's a tricky contest right out of the bat. We remember what Arsenal did last season. Opening game, they finished 5th overall last season, but opening game, they traveled to Brentford and lost that game 2-0. Crystal Palace poses some problems for this team. Palace is 2-1-5, 5 draws the last 4 years against this Arsenal team, 1-1-2 at home. Palace got most of their points at home last season. 29 of their 48 points were at home. Arsenal, almost night and day. 3rd best record last season at home, 13-2-4, but only 9-1-9, 9 losses on the road. Probably accounted for the fact that they finished 5th and missed out on that Champions League spot. I don't want to overvalue preseason here. I know Arsenal look good, and I know you have to take what you see in preseason, trying to apply a little bit of it to the preseason, but this is just one of those tricky contests. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to reserve my judgment on how good this Arsenal team can be. It's that mentality on the road. Last year it wasn't there. It cost them a top 4 spot. Crystal Palace has given them problems at home. You're getting half a goal here. I'm going to take Crystal Palace plus the half a goal on Friday. As my show play. Kev?
Yeah, I mean, you stole a lot of me thunder there, in all honesty, Carmine, because I'm in full agreement with you. I'm high on Arsenal this year. Look, I said that, we talked about it in the EPL preview show. I do expect this team to challenge for top four this year. I think a lot of the additions, that Mikel Arteta has brought into the club have been top notch as well. I mean, you mentioned him, Gabriel Jesus. He netted a hat trick in his last game for Arsenal against Sevilla. So, I do expect this team to be a real handful for any of the, quote unquote big teams in the league this year. But, you said it at the start. This is the first game of the season. It is a tricky spot. As you said, we all remember last year when Arsenal laid an egg in the opening game. The line was very similar to this one. I think Arsenal winning is around even money favourites in that one. Situation was fairly similar as well, obviously. Crosstown London rivals, Brentford in that game, Crystal Palace in this one. And, Arsenal ended up blowing the game. They lost 2-0 to Brentford. So while I do expect Arsenal to be much improved this year, I'm the same. I just can't pull the trigger on this game. Crystal Palace are seasoned campaigners in the Premier League at this stage. They know how to grind out results, especially at home. Crystal Palace ranked top 10 in the league last year on overall home form. Lost just 4 times all year as well. That was tied with both Arsenal and Manchester United. Better record than Tottenham, better record than West Ham in terms of number of losses at home. So, Patrick Vieira's instilled some real steel in this team since he took charge. And, they brought in Doucouré from Lens as well in the offseason as well. So they are a hard team to beat. And for me, while I like Arsenal on the season overall, I got to leave them alone in this spot. Not that I'm taking Crystal Palace either. This is more a watch and brief for me. And as you said as well in the head-to-head record, Crystal Palace have had Arsenal's number over the last few seasons in the Premier League at Selhurst Park. Over the last 4 head-to-heads, I think Arsenal have only won 1. So I just can't fire on Arsenal until I see them in action. So again, Lee, if I absolutely had to play it, I probably would take Arsenal, but it's just a watch and brief for me.
All right, Kevin Dolan, WagerTalk.com. And Nick, as Kevin mentioned, even though Arsenal only picked up 1 win in the last 4 seasons at Crystal Palace, if you looked at the historical numbers, they have been favorites, whether a half goal, a quarter goal, going into each one of those contests. So Palace have covered 3 of the last 4 times at home against this team. I'm not sure this is going to make my card, Nick, at the end of the day, but I'm leaning, like I said, I'm leaning Palace. Where are you going here?
While you and Kev are not confident enough to make it a play, I am in agreement and am confident enough to make it a play. This is already on my card. The only thing I'm kicking myself about is the fact that I did it early, and I should have known that watching, I guess he didn't know that Arsenal was going to look as good as they did in the preseason, because I did play this, almost 10 days ago at this point. But I'm on Palace plus a half a goal. You can actually get plus 3/4 of a goal now, which is awesome value. I mean, listen, if Arsenal do win this game, it's probably going to be close. And I always love taking that 3/4 goal line on the dog to, lose just half your wager if they do keep it tight and lose by just that goal. But you guys said everything. I mean, the only thing I'll add is that Palace is great defensively. They had the 4th best expected goal allowed mark last year in the Premier League. It's not like this team cannot, as Kevin said, grind out results. I mean, at home, they beat Tottenham. They beat United. They drew against Man City. They did lose against Liverpool and Chelsea, and they beat Arsenal. I mean, so obviously Arsenal's, all the talks on them with the additions they made and the changes, and now you got Arteta with another year under his belt. And I am very high on Arsenal this year. We talked about that in the preview show. I do have a future on them, so I expect them to be good. But you guys said it. This is an opening game. It's a tough spot. Palace know how to win. They lost 4 times at home last year, 4 in 19 matches. So I don't expect this to be a easy Arsenal win by any means. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Palace actually walk away with 3 points from this game. So I'm all over Palace here. And if you haven't taken it yet, it's at 3/4 of a goal now. I don't think it's going to get to 1. You might lose a little sense in some juice if you wait a little bit, but I would grab the 3/4 of a goal line. I think it's really good value.
All right, Nick Borrman, WagerTalk.com. And yeah, I think by the time game day rolls around, I think the 3/4 of a goal, it's one of those ones where there's a slight uptick and people are looking at results of preseason, but I think that settles back in at half a goal. So if you can get the 3/4 of a goal with Palace, yeah, you might want to take that now. As far as price goes, Pavlos, Nick mentioned Arteta. Listen, It's the thing with Arsenal. If they don't perform out of the gate, it all comes on Arteta. They've brought in players, obviously Gabriel Jesus, Lacazette gone, but having some scoring. But it comes back down to Arteta and whether he is the man to get them over that hump. We saw them struggle at the end of last season, basically the last 2 or 3 games where they lost 2 of them, which cost them that top 4 spot and a Champions League placing this year. Can he get it done this year?
I don't have the biggest amount of faith on Arteta, and in the Arsenal as an organization. I mean, every season, every summer, they bring in a couple of defenders trying to shape up that defense, and that just doesn't happen. Then they sell one, they send the other one on loan. They did so again this season. They brought in Zinchenko from Manchester City. Maybe he can shape up that defense, but I don't really have faith in Arteta as a coach. And, on one side, we had Crystal Palace with Zaha, who has been, I keep passing that guy, but he's very talented. But I hear now that he has transfer offers some teams like Chelsea and Roma have expressed their interest. And when Zaha is has these thoughts at the back of his mind, the entire Crystal Palace organization just is disoriented because he really wants out, and he has been wanting out for so many years. And on one side you got Zaha who wants out, and on the other side you got Arteta who is trying to prove himself in the post Guardiola era. Since he stopped being, an assistant manager. In this case, I wouldn't be surprised by a draw, to be honest. Crystal Palace haven't been good historically as hosts against Arsenal. They won just 2 of 16 matches in this venue. Of course, last season they thrashed them by 3-0. So the way I look at this match is taking both teams to score -120. I would go towards the under with 9 of the last 11 matches between the two sides producing over 2.5 goals. But I'm really genuinely scared about, if one team scores the first goal and then parks the bus. I think both teams to score covers a lot of scenarios in my brain right now, and at -120, I'm willing to take the risk. Again, Arsenal, they looked great in the off-season friendlies. They've been scoring a lot of goals. Jesus had a hat-trick against Sevilla the other day. And Crystal Palace, they've been scoring a lot. They brought that guy Odson Edouard from Scotland last season. He gelled with the team greatly. They can score. They can't really keep clean sheets. So both teams to score at -120 for me.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos from Sports Memo. Pavlos, I'm going to go right back to you in a second to kick off this Everton and Chelsea preview. Let's have a look at the numbers on this one. Everton at home +375. The draw is +280. Chelsea -138. I'm not going to go much into this because I don't want to steal the thunder that you guys might have by giving away all the notes. My thoughts on Chelsea, guys, are very simple. You can find them in my EPL guide. I don't think it's going to be the worst season for them, but it might be a struggle for top 4. I think they're going to finish outside of the top 4 this season just because a lot of teams improved. I think this is the Super League. I think there are 6 or 7 teams that are going to battle for those top 6 spots, and then it pretty much drops off after that. Listen, Everton lost for Charleston. I think that's a big loss for this team. And, first out of the gate, listen, Everton last year, a win and draw against this Chelsea team that gave them all they can handle. And the last 4 between these two over the last 2 seasons have been tight ones. I'm going to go to the total here. I'm going to take the under 2.5 -110 as my play, and then throw right back to you, Pavlos.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the under 2.5 goals. Of course, we have to keep in mind that Chelsea, they lost both their starting center backs this season with Rudiger and Christensen leaving for Spain. They did bring Koulibaly from Napoli, who is a really strong defender, but we have to see first if he's going to gel with the other players. They also brought in Raheem Sterling. They shipped off Lukaku back to Inter. So, this Chelsea offense has Sterling, Werner, all kinds of kittens. So I'm really, really worried about this offense, and also worried about the defense. And when you look at Everton, they did bring just very few players. Ruben Vinagre from Sporting Lisbon, Dwight McNeil, which is a nice signing from Burnley, and I think the most important signing for Everton is James Tarkowski on the centre back position, who along with Yerry Mina and Keane, I think they could be good defensively. And as you said, Carmine, each of the last 4 matches between the two sides in the last couple of seasons were really tight. So, and again, with Tuchel wanting to start the season on a positive note, I think we'll see a very, very careful match between the two sides, especially Chelsea. And I think I'll take the under 2.5 goals here. And I'm waiting to see if Everton can have a better season than they had last year, where they were really threatened by relegation. At one point, we all believed that they can go down, but they saved it there at the end. But yeah, as far as this match goes, I don't really see a lot of goals here, if any. So under 2.5 goals, I couldn't agree more.
All right, Nick, I'm going to go to you next on this one. And, I pissed off a couple of my buddies who are big Blues fans. I said that Chelsea would likely not make the top 4, but it is a tough one. They're going to be right there. And I think they improved defensively. I think even though I loved Rudiger, he brought so much spirit to that team. But Napoli's Koulibaly is a fantastic replacement. This guy can defend. What are your thoughts on this team and this game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody on Chelsea is going to miss Lukaku. That's obviously some dead weight that is gone for the team. Defensively, yes, Rudiger, Christensen both hurt, but I'm high on Koulibaly. I think he's one of, if not the best defender in the world, and adding him in there is going to be huge for them. Obviously, one guy is not going to replace 2 very good players, but it's a good start. Then, of course, you got Raheem Sterling from Man City to lead the way with Kai Havertz, and maybe Timo Werner will eventually get together for this team. But on paper, anywhere, I think the Blues still appear to be pretty stacked. And we talked about Everton in the preview show a couple weeks back, and while Kevin loves Frank Lampard, which is no problem, I don't have a problem with Frank, Everton's in a tough spot. I mean, they have no money that they could use in this offseason, so they really couldn't do much to bolster their chances for this year, other than relying on Lampard to just really rally the team and get them there. Now, I don't necessarily think they're going to be going down, but I don't think they're going to be very safe by any means and have a big cushion there either. So I don't really want to lay the number here, kind of like Arsenal, the Arsenal game we talked about, just because it's game 1. I don't want to lay the number on the road here with Chelsea. But I do agree with what Pablo said about this. For a lot of reasons being very tight, Everton, the only way they're going to probably eke out a result here is by keeping this slow and playing defense, right? And Chelsea, that's what they're known for. I mean, they're a great defensive team. Even though they lost some defensive players, I still see them being a very, very good defensive team. And they certainly don't light up the scoreboard on most of the time. Occasionally they can, but not most of the time. So I think under 2.5 goals is a great way to play this game. I think it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be tight. Could be 1-1, 1-0 either way kind of a result. So I like under 2.5. If I'm going to go to a side, it's got to be Chelsea, but I like under.
Yeah, I tend to think the same thing. And Kev, I'm giving you the perfect opportunity to offer a rebuttal to Nick, especially because he mentioned one of your favorite guys, Frank Lampard. 16th last season, 4 points above the relegation zone. They toyed with it, but in the end, while 16th doesn't sound good, it's another season and it's a new season.
That wasn't Frank Lampard's fault. Actually, since Frank Lampard came in, Everton ranked 8th in the league on home form. So Frank saved them. Frank actually saved them. I won't have anybody dissing Big Frank on this show. That's ridiculous, man. He's a proven winner at this stage. But look, the word's out on Chelsea, isn't it? Because I mentioned this actually just before we hit the record button on the show, that literally, it feels like the 1929 stock market crash to me. Not that it was around then, but I've had literally everybody telling me. I've had my cousins telling me, I've had the local taxi driver telling me, my barber, how much Chelsea are going to absolutely stink up the joint this year. That I almost say it as a buy-on sign at this point. Like the amount of people that think Chelsea are in trouble this year. If there are some bright sparks, look, I like the way Chelsea's new co-owner, Todd Bowley, is backing Thomas Tuchel. He's given him free rein at the club. Send Lukaku back. Don't go in for Ronaldo in the transfer window. Absolutely no interference from the board, so I like that. So to me, I'm not quite as downbeat as everyone else in this Chelsea's team chances this season. And, they're playing a side in Everton who, you guys mentioned lost their top goal scorer last season, Richarlison to Spurs. Not going to knock Big Frank, obviously, for that one. He got a great price for him. And, he has brought in some solid signings from Burnley as well in the off-season. So, this is definitely an interesting game. Again, from a kind of watch and brief perspective, I'm really interested to see how Chelsea set up on this one. This is not a venue they've done particularly well in either over seasons past. Chelsea have lost 4 straight head-to-heads against Everton at Goodison Park over the last 4 seasons and haven't won here since all the way back in 2017 as well. So it is a hard one to call on Saturday. Big standalone game, obviously, as well. And, very similar to the last game where we talked about Arsenal, where I just want to see how Chelsea set up here first in the opening game before I jump in fully. But as of right now, if I'm betting this game, I'm taking Everton on the plus 0.75 handicap line. As Chelsea will just be concerned about winning this game on Saturday, in my opinion. No need for style points, obviously. So I think worst case scenario here is a half loss in Everton plus 3/4. As under Frank Lampard as well, as I mentioned, Everton are strong at home, 8th in the league since he took over, as I said, since the end of January. So this won't be an easy out for Chelsea by any stretch here. And if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if we see an early slip-up by Thomas Tuchel's men as well. Thomas Tuchel's men in this one as well. So, Everton for me on the plus 0.75 handicap line. I quite like that in this game.
All right. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And again, I'm not saying it's going to be a disastrous season. It's they're finishing top 6. Whether they finish top 4 remains to be seen. Tottenham got better. Arsenal, of course, got better. And I think at least from a managerial point of view, Man United got better. They can't be any worse. It's going to be Eric Ten Hag I think is going to have this team playing much better. So we'll see what we get from United. So it'll be a good season, and they don't always come out firing out of the gates on the front foot. Round 1 of the EPL season, we've seen some surprises over the last few years. So I think you have to take some of these games with a bit of grain of salt and a little bit of caution. Speaking of caution, let's throw caution to the wind here and talk about the third game. This one goes on Sunday. West Ham hosting Man City title holders. West Ham plus 850. The draws plus 350. Man City minus 300. The markets really haven't moved on this one since the opener. They still sit at about 300 on this one. When you look at these ones and you look at least the last year's 2 games between these two sides, a 2-2 draw late in the season for the Hammers, and then earlier in the season a 2-1 City win at home. So you think West Ham's given them a tough time, at least on the scoreline. If you look at the analytical numbers of those 2 games, City completely dominated, as they do most teams. The only difference was they were unable to really pile it on in those games. First game for Erling Haaland, a true center forward for this City team. I'm not sure the way this game's going to go, and I think it's going to be a down season for this West Ham team, which is tough because Kevin's going to tell me that any team coached by David Moyes is a very good team. But a 6th 2 years ago, a 7th last year, the 3 previous years in the bottom half, I think they might be heading for a bottom half. You can see that in my EPL guide. Again, that is free to download at WagerTalk.com. I'm going to look for goals here. I think this is one of those games where the Hammers are very opportunistic. They will get their goal, but City will definitely get theirs. The total sits at 3 here. I think at worst, this game lands on 3, and I think we see a little more than that. I'm going to go over the total here, and I'm going to throw it over to Nick. Nick, your thoughts on City?
I like the Hammers, and I think it's just because I like the name. I mean, the Hammers, that's such a cool name. Anytime I get to talk about the Hammers is a lot of fun. Listen, they were close last year. They obviously finished 7th, got the Europa Conference bid. They spent $100 million this summer as they try to push for that. Top 4 is going to be very difficult to crack, but that top 6 at least and get the Europa spot. I'm not as down on them. I wouldn't expect them to fall back too much. And there's a couple teams below them that Newcastle looks pretty solid, but there's not a lot below them that's going to make a huge push to try to jump them. So it's up to them rather if they can get ahead of anybody like United Arsenal or Tottenham above them, but I don't see them falling too much. I think the theme of me for opening weekend is I don't want to lay a number on any road team, and I know this is Man City, and they're going to blow out more teams than not. But we did see them in action last weekend. They obviously lost 3-1 to Liverpool in the Community Shield. Tough start there, and I know Guardiola is going to be. I would think he's going to be preaching defense here after allowing 3 goals. One was, of course, a penalty, but allowing 3 goals to the Reds last week. So I think they're going to have to or try to step that up. This year is a learning curve. You kind of mentioned Haaland and his role in the center forward. City's been talked about for several years. They've gone without a true striker for quite a while now. So it is a bit of an adjustment on formation and setup. So I wonder, how long that takes them to find that. We know they're going to be there at the end. We know it's going to be between them and Liverpool to win this thing. So I don't think anybody's expecting a bad season by any means, but it's a tough spot. I don't want to lay the 1.5 here. If anything, I would take West Ham plus the 1.5 just to, it's a home opener for them. They're going to be excited. It's the biggest game. When you have Man City coming on, you get up for these type of games. And West Ham has proven that they are more than capable to play with Man City. In the last 5 meetings, they've kept them really tight. They've actually eked out 3 draws during that run. So the Hammers know how to play City. They are more than capable to do so. And I just don't feel comfortable laying a big number on the road right now on opening weekend. So I actually like West Ham. It's not a big play, but I actually like West Ham plus a 1.5 in this one.
All right. Nick Borrman with his thoughts on the West Ham Man City game. Kev, he mentioned he likes the Hammers. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. What will West Ham be in this game?
Do you know, out of all the games on the board this weekend, Carmine, I think this is the one. The books have absolutely nailed it. Minus 1.5 on the handicap, 3 on the total. That to me is a perfect line because it could really go either way. I do expect City to bounce back with a win in this one, though. If I had to pick a side, they come off of a fairly embarrassing loss at the weekend against Liverpool in the Charity Shield. Not so much in the way they played. I thought they actually looked fairly decent in that game, but just the overall scoreline at the end. So Pep's going to have them fired up to come out swinging in this one, kind of set a marker early in defence of their crown. But am I willing to pay minus 300 to find out? Not really, no. As West Ham haven't actually lost to Manchester City, as Nick mentioned, any of their previous 3 head-to-heads in East London. So where do we go in this one? I actually like the combination prop bet of Manchester City and over 2.5 in this game at around minus 115, I believe. Like I said, I do expect Manchester City to bounce back with a win in this one. I also like your overplay as well, Carmine. I do expect goals. City were absolute freight trains in front of goal last season. 150 goals scored across all competitions in Europe, and they didn't even have a striker. I mean, it's just phenomenal stuff. So, they've obviously fixed that ahead of this season. So you just can't stand there and trade with this team that absolutely tear you apart. But West Ham also like to go on the attack as well. 51 goals scored in the league last year for them. They own the EPL 7th highest XG rating as well. So, they brought in Sassuolo's top goal scorer from last season, Gianluca Scamacca. So he was rested up in the friendlies. He's going to be fresh for this weekend. So this game looks set to be a potential shootout. And West Ham also had the 6th worst goals allowed record in defense last season in the Premier League as well. So I can just see goals. And if you're gonna enter into a shootout, you have to favour Manchester City in any type of shootout environment. So yeah, I like that. Manchester City to win and over 2.5 goals minus 115. I like that combination prop bet for Sunday.
All right, Pavlos, final word on this game.
Yeah, you guys said it all. I agree with the plus 1.5. I agree with not picking City, because it's the first match of the season. To be honest, I like the price. It's not a very good price, but I think it's very possible for Haaland to score in his debut. Minus 125, I see it right now. I think that's a fair price. But if you guys are expecting West Ham to score, any of the West Ham players to score is at plus 400 at least. So Antonio scored a couple of goals 2 seasons ago against Manchester City, so he's at plus 450. Scamacca is coming, red hot from Sassuolo. He's at plus 400. Bowen scored a couple of goals last season in this venue, and both of them in the first half. Bowen is at plus 400 to score. So I'm personally going to take Haaland to score at minus 125. But if you guys think West Ham are going to score, I would propose Mikhail Antonio plus 450 here. I'm not really sure where to go with this total. It could go under, it could go over, it could go push. I don't see 4 goals here, to be honest. If anything, if I had to play a total, if I had to bet, like I really had to bet, I'd bet on the under 3 here. But I think there's a whole lot of matches that are much more interesting in terms of betting opportunities. I'll probably sit this one out, maybe a small stake bet on Haaland to score and minus 125, and moving on.
All right, guys, let's get into our best bet segment. This will be a regular feature throughout the season on Stoppage Time, where we'll just give you one play that we like on the weekend's card, any game from Thursday onwards. Gav, I'm going to go to you first. Let us know what you like this weekend.
I'm going to go for the dreaded early kickoff, Carmine. Liverpool-Fulham at the 12:30 p.m. kickoff early on lunchtime. I like Fulham plus 1.75 goals. Liverpool come off that big Community Shield, Charity Shield win at the weekend, put 3 past Manchester City. So you would expect they could, win by 2 clear goals against Fulham. But, football doesn't work like that. The Cottagers know how to play defense. 3rd fewest goals allowed in the Championship last season. 2nd fewest shots allowed. Look, they're going to just stick 10 men behind the ball, leave Mitrovic up front, try and get on the end of a set piece or a corner. So I think Liverpool are going to struggle to break them down. And also Fulham have covered in 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads this line in Craven Cottage as well. So I think Liverpool are going to struggle to break them down. So I like Fulham plus 1.75 on that handicap line early on Saturday.
All right, so Gav with an EPL play. Pavlos, I'll go to you next. Best bet on the weekend card.
Yeah, I'm taking a Bundesliga best bet here, guys. Really exciting match between Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen, they made some great additions in the transfer window. They brought a fellow Czech Republic striker, Adam Hlozek. He's going to slot right in there with Patrick Schick. They're really stacked in the offense and the midfield. They have a lot of quality there. And they've been excellent against Dortmund in recent years. They've scored multiple goals in 7 of the last 9 matches against them. Last season, they scored 5 and 3 goals in 2 matches. And this Dortmund side has a lot of chemistry to find because they pretty much they reconstructed their entire defense over the summer. So I think Bayer Leverkusen is going to have a lot of opportunities against this Dortmund defense, which wasn't very good last season. So I like Bayer Leverkusen over 1.5 team totals at minus 107.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos of Sports Memo. Nick, I'm going to go to you. You're going to stay out of Europe at least until you travel there. You got an MLS play for us. Tell us what you got.
Yeah, going to stick with the MLS. It's been good. And I'm going to take Little Italy at Nashville, otherwise known as Toronto FC, plus 3/4 of a goal. Back-to-back games now without conceding for the first time this year for Toronto. In fact, both of those games are the first time they've kept clean sheets all season, and now to go back-to-back is pretty strong, just allowing 0.69 expected goals in each game, while their combined tally is 3.01 to 1.38 between both matches. Nashville, they've just been struggling to score. They've still gotten on the score sheet in each of the last 5 games, but they haven't scored more than 1 goal during that stretch, which includes 3 home games. Nashville also has a road game at Portland on Wednesday this week. So while Portland is not playing in the midweek, so a little extra time to rest and get ready. I think we see Toronto continue their defensive improvement in this game, and if they lose, unlikely to come by multiple goals. So take Toronto plus 3/4 of a goal in the MLS on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nick Borrman, WagerTalk.com. Guys, I'm going to go right back to the EPL. I'm going to go on a Saturday game here. Bournemouth return to the Premier League, but I think it's a one-and-done season for this team. They really didn't do anything in the transfer window, and I think they're in for a season where they finished 19th or 20th. Aston Villa, on the other hand, with Steven Gerrard, I think a good season up ahead for them. They've got that trio of Brazilians on that team, Douglas Luiz, Philip Coutinho, and Diego Carlos. I think they get off to a good start here. You're getting plus money on them. I don't think they're going to be plus money by the time the weekend rolls around. I'm going to take Aston Villa plus 114 to get the win as my show best bet. Guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in every Tuesday at 10 a.m. We'll have a show. As we get closer to the World Cup, we'll go to two shows a week, hopefully for you guys. I want to mention one more time that EPL 75. You can get $75 off a full season of EPL. Go to your favorites cappers page, click on the soccer drop-down menu. You'll see it there for $2.99. You can get $75 off with the code EPL75 and get every single play, every single prop, every single side and total in the EPL from your favorite capper. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in, and good luck with your wagers.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.